was transferred to Cullinan on the 23rd of May, 2016.
Correct, Judge, Counsel?
And then he was transferred to Anchor on the 23rd of June, 2016.
Correct, Counsel?
If you turn back, Mrs. Ndlovu, to Mrs. Hlatshwayo's affidavit, which starts at page 3201.
3201.
01. Mrs. Hlatshwayo states in her affidavit that you informed the family that Sizwe passed away on the 3rd of October, that you informed the family 2016 that Sizwe had passed away. Is that correct?
I don't recall the date, but it is correct. I went to the family in October.
Okay. And is it correct, Mrs. Ndlovu, that Sizwe in fact passed away on the 10th of September 2016?
That one, Counsel, I will not confirm it because this is the other case that I was also instructed to go and trace the family whereabouts.
Okay. Perhaps.
I don't understand that answer. I thought the date is in the affidavit.
The date that is on the affidavit, Judge, is the date of when the patient was admitted in Cullinan and the date of when the patient was discharged to Anchor, Judge.
No, look at the first paragraph.
Justice, are you referring to the affidavit of Mrs. Ndlovu
No.
or of Mrs.
Affidavit
Hlatshwayo?
of Mrs. Ndlovu, yes. On page 3219.
Perhaps if we could refer to the death certificate on page 3218, which will also record the date of death.
32. Where's the page?
3218.
3218.
The date there is given as the 10th of September 2016. Do you agree with that?
Judge, what I'm saying about this case is that this patient was admitted in Cullinan on the 23rd of May 2016 and then later discharged to Anchor on the 23rd June 2016. So with the date of death, I cannot confirm that. That's what I was told when I visited that's the information I got from the CEO and Dorothy when I visited the family, that this patient died on this day.
Yeah, the short answer is you have no personal knowledge of the date.
Yes, Judge.
Very well.
But it is in your affidavit on page 3219 of the record.
The date of death.
Correct.
I've written the information that I've received.
If I can refer you, Mrs. Ndlovu, to the end of the first paragraph of your affidavit. It says, Sizwe Hlatshwayo died on the 10th of September 2016.
In fairness, you should say to the witness, according to Anchor NGO manager. So
I'm sorry.
she says
Thank you,
it's not a
Justice.
personal,
Yes.
in her personal knowledge, that must be correct.
Thank you, Justice.
I've indicated down there that according to Anchor NGO manager, Sizwe Hlatshwayo died on the 10th of September on the affidavit, the last sentence in the first paragraph.
And you testified that you informed the family, or you were asked to inform the family, and you did so in October 2016.
I confirm that, Counsel.
Thank you, Mrs. Ndlovu. I'd like to read to you from paragraph 14 of Mrs. Hlatshwayo's affidavit. It starts on page 3205.
05.
Yes. I'm going to read from paragraph 14. Mrs. Flatswayo says, the following day, meaning the day after she was informed of Sizwe's death, we went to Cullinan Hospital. There is an area within the hospital that they call Anchor. Daphne received us there and we had lots of questions, but she wasn't providing answers that made sense. For example, we asked why we were only contacted over 3 weeks after Sizwe died. She replied that she had been on leave. Then, as an alternative, she said that they did not have medical files for Sizwe and therefore didn't have contact information for us. However, we saw 2 medical files for him. One of the files was from Life Esidimeni. The file from Life Esidimeni had Sizwe's discharge information in it. Isaac's contact information was also in one of the files. It is unclear to this day why we were not contacted sooner. Can you provide us with a response to the allegations in that paragraph?
Okay, thank you, Counsel. Counsel, I've already indicated that the patient was discharged to Anchor. The family were informed. Isaac is the one who was informed about the discharge of the patient. In the file, we also have our communication with Isaac. And Isaac agreed with us about the discharge of the patient. We do have a process note where we have noted our communication with Isaac. That is number 1. Then number 2, I intervened on this case due to instruction. I was not on duty for 2 weeks. When I came back, I was given this case to intervene with it.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Ndlovu. If you'll just bear with me, Justice. Those are our questions, Justice. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Legal Aid South Africa. Legal Aid South Africa. I'm not certain who of you two are going to be cross-examining, but welcome back, Ms. Advocate Kraus.
Thank you, Justice. Mr. Skibi will do the cross-examination.
Very well.
Thank you, Justice.
Mr. Skibi.
Thank you, Justice. Good afternoon, Ms. Ndlovu.
Afternoon, Counsel.
Setting up my mic. You've described your schedule in May when the movement, that it was hectic during the movement of patients when you received them at Cullinan.
Yes, Counsel.
Yes.
It was very, very hectic.
And you've already stated that the capacity you were receiving, I mean, it is meant to house about 150 patients.
Yes, Counsel.
So you exceeded that 150.
Yes, Counsel.
To be precise, in May, if one counts from the 10th of May to the 26th of May, it's about 102 patients that you received
From?
in different Life Esidimeni NGOs.
Counsel,
I
didn't.
think you have to formulate the question. I don't follow it.
But or perhaps, if I may go, sorry,
I
bit
had
by
the
bit.
10th of May and 26th of May.
On the 10th of May, between the 10th of May to the 26th of May 2016, collectively, those NGOs, you received about a total of about 102 mental health users.
Those NGOs you received, you mean Cullinan received?
From Life
Or
Esidimeni.
from, okay,
yes.
yes. So Cullinan Rehabilitation Center received from Life Esidimeni a certain number of patients.
That's correct.
That's the question. Mrs. Ndlovu,
You said 102
102 in total.
from
The month of May
from 10 May to
to 26 May 2016.
that one. I didn't.
So you didn't
count.
calculate the numbers.
But it can be true because of the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has stipulated the number of patients that were collected in Life Esidimeni.
All right. Before you you received patients,
where does the number 102 come from, Council? How is it calculated? How do you derive?
the number of 102, just this.
The patient, I mean, the witness could help you if she understood how you added it up.
Let me put one by one the number from when they received.
Yes, very well.
On the 10th of May, you received Life Esidimeni patients 26. Am I
True,
correct?
Council.
On the 12th of May 2016, you received about 24 mental health, healthcare users from Weville. It's true, it's correct.
True, Council.
On the 17th of May, you also you received about 11 patients from Life Esidimeni Weville.
Yes, Council.
On the 19th of May 2016, you received about 19 mental health care users from Weville.
Yes, Council.
On the 25th of May 2016, you received about 18 mental health care users from Life Esidimeni Ranfandi.
On the 24th.
On the 24th, I please. Thank you.
Yes, Council.
On the 26th of May 2016, you received about 3 healthcare users
Yes, Council.
from Life Esidimeni.
Yes, Council.
So if you add those numbers, they go up to 102. That was only in May month only, 2016.
It's 96.
Is it, were you calculating?
Yes, it's 96. I don't know if I'm standing on point of correction. It's 96 according to me. Maybe I
Yes, I was
miscalculate.
calculating by manual. Perhaps maybe I'll accept that.
It's 96.
It's 96.
Yes, Council.
Yes. So there were no additional beds which were added at Cullinan within that month to accommodate those patients.
No, no.
But the Cullinan, let me put it this way, CCRC received those patients, despite that there were no additional beds which were added.
The reason that we were discharging, this number is up to this total, but we were discharging. And
Okay.
other discharges were our initial patients, not Life Esidimeni, the patients that were in Cullinan. We discharged 73 or 74 patients to Siabadinga. Then there was space for 74 patients to fill the space.
So was it before you received this 96 that you were talking about, regarding the dates that I have just read to you now?
Some of the patients were discharged before we can go and collect the patients, to go and fetch the patient in Life Esidimeni. Then the others were discharged in the process. like MDT members, some went to Life Esidimeni, then the others in the institution were discharging to the NGO so that we can accommodate those who will be coming on that day.
And you've already stated that it was hectic when you were receiving these patients.
It was very hectic indeed, Council, because we were only given 1 day to rest, and it was not we were not resting that day. We were making sure that the ones that we came with are adjusting, checking the ID books, checking the medical records, checking their diets. It was indeed very hectic, because that little day that we were given, like we went on the 10th, on the 11th, we were very busy checking those things, checking, opening the files in the departments, calling the families, and so forth.
Yes. So, but there was no time for you to check which inmate, which patient gets what type of meal, nutrition, etc., etc.
I've mentioned that we were also checking their diets. We were also checking their diets on that very little day that we had. We were checking everything. Each and every person was working under his or her own department. Like in my department, we were trying to inform the families, checking the IDs, checking the contact details of those who doesn't have, checking the physical addresses, compiling a list again that we have received so and so.
So it is your testimony that patients at Cullinan, they were looked after, they were fed, there were no problems.
There were no problems with the feeding.
Feeding, water. And
There were no problems with
sleep.
feeding and water. We didn't experience any problem regarding that.
So, but you say that when at Anchor, that NGO Anchor, patients were not treated friendly. What did you mean to say that they were not treated friendly?
I never, I never said they were not treated friendly. I said the staff, according to the way we know that the mental, according to like the professionals were not the same as from CCRC, because we are under the impression that if we're taking a patient to an NGO, somebody who will take care of the medication of the mental health care user has to be there, of which it cannot be anybody else but a nurse.
Yourself, you were full-time at Cullinan. You were not involved as to what's happening at Anchor. Am I correct?
Yes, Council.
So you didn't personally go and observe as to what was happening at Anchor?
We were going and observing. We went and observed what is happening. That is why we finally detect that the person, the people who were receiving the patients are not the professionals. It's not like we discharged the patient, thrown them to Anchor without giving Anchor support, without going and check what is happening. We went there because we were concerned. Because of our concerns, we went there and checked. With regard to the ID, I went there and give them the ID copies of the patients. I went them and tried to assist them with the application of the SASSA grants, giving them
which
support.
question are we answering now? We need to listen carefully for the question so we can make some progress. Did you observe what was happening there? The answer is yes, I did. Stop.
Yes, we did,
And if
Council.
council wants details, then you wait for the question. Don't provide them until they're asked for.
Thank you,
Okay.
Judge.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Justice. In your hectic schedule, when did you go and observe at Anchor then whether everything was in order?
After discharging the patients to them, some of the days we were spending more time in the NGO just to observe. Especially during the days that we were not going to Life Esidimeni to fetch the patients.
Were all those patients whom you received at Cullinan, were they transported by a bus, or were there some vans which were used to bring them in at Cullinan?
Those whom we went to fetch, we went with a 27-seater bus. But for the ones who came on the 23rd, it's stipulated in the report that they came with an ambulance.
Okay, thank you. Right. If you look at page 7 of your report, just
The
put us
exhibit has a number. Could you use the number for the record, please?
it's could be EL9, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Let's just get used to that. So somebody else who reads the record
Thank you,
can
Justice.
follow exactly what we were doing, okay? And which report we're referring to. It's ELA H9
That's correct, Justice.
or
Thank you.
ELA9 if you want to go short.
Thank you, Justice. It refers to patients for the date of the 12th of May. There is a date of the 12th of May. You see that? At page 7.
Yes, Council.
There's paragraph 3. It reads, some MSCUs came with their patients' files which contained scanty information which lacked medical history. These files were prepared by LE staff and just handed over with the users. Some of the patients came with their identity document too. They were admitted at CCRC. So, referring to the scanty information, the information was not sufficient.
Yes, Council.
What could be missing? The description of the medication or any?
Yes, Council. Some of them, they didn't have the medical history.
And some, they didn't have medical history. Okay,
Yes.
all right. In this report, I'm interested to the one patient, just before I go there. It was your testimony that the highlighted ones were the ones who had to be moved to make space or to be moved to Anchor. Am I correct?
You're correct, Council.
So we've got one patient, Nkosi Sizwe, who appears at number 18
Which page, Council?
on the same page.
Okay.
That the page
That's page 7.
is page 7. I'm sorry.
Number 18.
Yes.
Council, I'm listening.
Yes. It's one of the patients whose families, the patients who experienced what was happening there.
Yes, Council.
But I will go there in a short while. I just want to ascertain, I'll also refer you to, where is this spreadsheet? So that to see if we are referring to the So if you can just pause and put it aside or on next to you on that very same page, page 7 on the exhibit ELL 9. You put it aside and you go to this spreadsheet, which is ELL 11, at page 2, number 17.
Yes, Council.
There is a surname, Kosi, at number 17, and Sizwe. The file number, the date of admission, which is the 12th of May, and also the date of discharge, which is the 26th of April, 2017. You see that?
26 April, 26/04, 2017.
Yes, yes.
This was a discharge from Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Center to Waverley. After Cullinan have taken over the services from Siabadinga and Enka, these patients came back to Cullinan. We readmitted them to Cullinan.
So when was, sorry ma'am, Justice, he indicated that you just answered the question so that we can save time. I appreciate that. You explain, but if you have to explain a bit, you can do so. When was Nkosi, Asizwe Nkosi received back at Cullinan after he had been moved to Enka?
In October 2016, I don't have a specific date.
So you do not have the records of that? When you received this patient, particular patient, back to Cullinan from Enka?
The patient came back without any records because we were told that Enka is no longer functioning. Siabadinga was a long time not functioning. We didn't see maybe a circular or something written in black and white. We were told that Enka is no longer there, then we have to take care of the patients that are from Enka.
All right. So at Enka, do you more or less remember when was he sent to Enka? That is the Sizwe Nkosi.
The time that he was discharged to Enka,
Yes, from Cullinan. Let me help you. It's on the same page, 23rd of June, 2016. The last paragraph. Am I correct?
which
Page
document?
7, the document now, the first one that I referred you to.
Okay, Council.
Again, let's use the number, Council. Let's use the number of the document.
ELL 9.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Are you sure that patients were well looked after at Cullinan? They were fed, they bathed, they had to bath well, everything was in order.
I can confirm that, Council, they were looked after. They were well looked after in Cullinan.
The bigger number or the larger number now when they were kept on coming in, you can agree with me that it compromised the quality of care that they were receiving. Would you agree, accept that? Is it? difficult, ma'am, to answer? I do not have an answer.
It is indeed difficult, Council, to answer that. But hence I've already indicated that it was very hectic. It was very hectic, but regarding food, we didn't experience problems with a shortage of food in the institution.
Yes. Who was supplying the food supplier then? Was it the state or were food for the patients made in the institution? Or was it transported from outside?
I beg your pardon, Council?
Was the food made on site or ordered from outside the facility?
The food are ordered from outside but prepared. They are being prepared in the institution.
All right. Thank you. I've got some pictures that I want to show you. Just as I've discussed with my friend for the state and yeah, pass on.
Are they all coming to me, or
No.
is it one picture, is it? I see that different pictures. Which ones do you?
Can I
Council,
just-
can you describe the exhibits you want to hand in? Let's give them numbers, and they must be handed to me and to your learned friends.
There's one with a T-shirt, it's like pink, where the client is, I mean, the patient is smiling, or he's pointing a finger on the eye. That's number one.
Can you look at the schedule and give each of these a number so that we can have a sequential numbering of all documents handed in during the hearing, please?
Through you, Justice, when the numbering is done, I just want to give an indication that there are some documents from the state sides. We have followed the sequence of the numbering already in existence, and we have ended up at ELA 22, if the numbering can continue after 22, ELA 22, ELAH.
Yes. I'm sure your learned friend will be grateful to you for that.
So, Justice, the
That's
first
housekeeping.
the first one where the patient is pointing a finger like on the or pointing a finger on the cheek or just more or less towards the.
You've described
the
it
eye.
enough. Just give me the number.
The
I
number
can
will
see
be
that.
ELLR23.
Esidimeni live arbitration hearing. That's what ELA is. And then the number follows. It's quite uncomplicated, actually. But what number do you think we should give to this?
Should be 23.
23. Thank you. And will this following be LR 24, is it?
Yes, ELL24. The one with the where the patient is
We've
wearing.
got it, only two. Shall we go on, Council?
Yes,
Is there some more? I'm told there's a third one.
this is the
that-
last one.
That is the last one.
Sorry to intervene, Justice Masaneki, but we've only been provided with one picture. I understand there's more than one.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Council, let's do this as lawyers run trials, please. Let's just observe those basic procedures that are necessary. We're building a record, and somebody, a third party, must be able to read it. It must be intelligible when they read it, know what we're referring to. That's the reason. And for the same reason, we have to add a year every time we mention a date. It's for eyes other than ourselves who are going to read this and researchers. and/or any other court that might have to look at this record. So I'm quite anxious that we do it, way lawyers do it, build a proper trial record, please. Shall we go, we are told, are you handing in 3 pictures?
That is correct,
Mr.
Justice.
Skibby? Right. Okay, let's give it a number first. Let's do this LR 25. And after that, how are you going to arrange with your colleagues for them to get copies? Some that you can deal with yourselves, amongst yourselves, please.
We will make sure, Justice.
Make sure that they get
yes,
copies
they
of the
do get-
balance of the pictures.
That is correct.
Very well, let's go ahead.
Yes, thank you. If you look at those pictures, ELLR 23, ELLR 24, and ELLR 25. You see the ELR.
They are ELAH,
I'm beg your pardon.
Esidimeni Live Arbitration Hearing. That's what they stand for. Shall we keep to that?
Thank you, Justice. You see, the first one at ELLR 23, looking at those 3 pictures, if I may put it blindly in this way, you see those pictures, they are not, they are not looking like the same, all of them. You notice that?
Okay, I will talk on the 2 that I have, because I only have 2 pictures.
The first one, ELAR 23, the patient there was at Waverley before he was moved to Cullinan.
Okay, Council.
The one depicted at AH24, the patient was at CCRC. The last one, it was 10 days after the patient was at Cullinan.
In Cullinan, why in Cullinan, Anchor or Cullinan?
No, in Cullinan, that's my instruction, in Cullinan.
Well, the question must follow.
The question now, the last one, it was 10 days after the patient was admitted at Cullinan. And he looks there so thin, unlike the time when he was at Waverley.
Okay, Council.
So you agree with me then?
I cannot agree with you, Council, based on, we do have pictures that doesn't have dates on them.
That is quite fair. It's a fair comment by the witness. You should be putting on record ELAH 23 was taken at such a place and on such a date. The following one, yet same one, another place and such a date, and the third one. And then pose questions about what the pictures mean. I don't even know whether they're meant to be pictures of the same person, are they? Are they photographs of the same person or different people?
They are pictures of the same person.
The same
Justice.
person.
If,
And you'll have to put all those
So-
facts on record. At which institution was each patient taken and when? And then text the witness about whether or not the person there is emaciated. Should we do that for the sake of all of us?
Justice, we will present evidence that these pictures were taken at different times or different days. The first one, ELLR 23, was taken when the patient was at Waverley. The one, ELLRH 24, was taken when the patient was admitted at CCRC. The last one was taken 10 days after the patient was admitted at Cullinan. So my instructions are that, our instructions are that this patient was not given, he lost weight drastically just 10 days after he was admitted at Cullinan. And was not properly fed. What is your comment about that?
Counsel, I'm not trying to defend myself here. Ne? I've said you've given me the pictures. I don't know the dates. When was this taken? It's just information that you are giving me. Ne? And remember, Sizwe was admitted in Cullinan from Life Esidimeni and spent some days and went to discharged to Anchor.
Yes. And the observation of the family is that family members of this patient were that there were no, there was no place to play outside.
But are you going to deal with the witnesses' legitimate concern that you haven't furnished dates yet of when these pictures were taken?
Well, Justice, I can't take it further, but we are going to lead evidence regarding these photos.
Okay.
I was just giving an opportunity for the witness to comment, but I understand the concern. Yes.
You don't have to answer the question. I think they'll lead evidence later. Okay, let's proceed.
Thank you. According to the observation of the family representative of family member of the season course, was to the effect that firstly, you'll just make a comment if that you agree or you do not agree.
We're talking about Sizwe Hlatswayo or Sizwe
Season course, Justice.
Sizwe Nkosi.
Yes. Our instructions that according to the observation of the family member, the infirmary is being used as the visiting area. Any comment about that? Do you agree or you disagree?
You're talking about the visitation of the families, of
Yes.
the family of Sizwe.
Yes.
This one I can acknowledge, family was coming to visit.
But the infirmary, the infirmary, you agree that it was used, that visiting area was used as a visiting area?
Visiting area was used as a visiting area. Councillor, let's formulate the question to help the witness respond.
According to observation of one family member, is that the infirmary is being used as the visiting area.
What is used as a visiting area?
Infirmary.
Or the infirmary?
Infirmary.
Okay.
I beg your pardon, there?
Infirmary.
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 Please,
The
please.
place where patients, they are being kept.
Okay, according to my information, when the patients were, when this patient was in Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Center, let me say, all the families of the patients that are visiting in Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Center, we do have a specific place for the family to visit their loved ones. But it's up to the family if whether they want to sit in that place in the room, or if the family can go and sit in the garden at our lapa in the institution.
So you disagree with this observation?
I totally disagree, unless otherwise if I don't know that information.
What is an infirmary? I don't know what it is, that's what I'm asking. It's a place where what happens? Or which is used for what?
It is used for, according to the information, my understanding, it may not mean to be. This is where the patients, they are being, how can I hold this? It is a place, Justice. I've just taken a tip from my colleague, one on the point that it is a place where the most sick patients they are being kept.
It's a place where?
The most severe sick patients they are being kept.
Where the most severe and sick patients are kept.
Yes.
You have answered the question, right?
Yes, I've answered the question, Judge. I want to add that in Cullinan, we don't have a space where very sick people are being kept, as you are saying. If we do have the visitors in the institution, there is a place called sick bay. It's a sick bay. We on that it's a building. The building is called sick bay. That's where we keep our very ill patients. I agree with you now, but the families are not are not being placed on that room for visitation. There is a section where they go and have a time with their loved ones. Sick bay is the name of the building. We call it a sick bay. It's the
Okay,
name
I
of
think
the
you've
building.
given the answer. Are there any further questions?
It's also that there is no place to play outside.
Yes, we do have a playground And it's a big ground, enough for our patients.
Also, what has been observed is that food portions are too small and they do not meet the nutrition requirements. That's what the family also observed.
Observed, okay. All right, Council, with the food portioning, that one, I think food service department is the one who will answer for that. And also maybe the dietitian is the one who will answer for that. Because they've been given diets, so I cannot answer for that, Council.
And there is also not enough linen.
Linen.
Yes.
That also, Council, I cannot answer for that. The relevant people who will answer for the linen, it's laundry.
Yeah, let's not be overly
Department.
technical. In your knowledge, was there enough linen in the facility?
During the day, the bed will be well prepared, the linen will be there, and as far as I know, they changes the linen 3 times a day.
Okay.
They changes the linen 3 times a day.
Very well, Council. Any further questions?
And also, the toilet facilities, there's lack of toilet paper and no soap. Any comment regarding the hygienic side?
That one, Council, I disagree, because that place where the families visit their loved ones, there's always a cleaner that makes sure that the place is clean, the toilet paper is there. Because with our intellectual disability patients, when the family visited, you find that maybe the person, the user was eating Zimba. Some of them, they can't take food straight to their mouth. The food will split. Then that's where the cleaner has to come and clean each and every time and check if the place is kept clean, because we know that our patients, we know the conditions of our patients.
From your testimony, we heard that some of the patients died at Anchor. Am I correct?
You are correct, Council.
And some of the patients who were moved from Life Esidimeni also died at Kalne. Is that correct?
It's correct, Council.
Those who were found to have passed on, they were found in the mix of those who were alive. Am I correct?
That one, Council, I disagree with it. Because if the patient has passed on, they remove the body to a specific place after the patient has been testified dead. They remove the patient to a specific place. Then after some times, we remove the body to the mortuary.
But let's put it this way. Before any personnel arrived, the first person who arrived found the patient who has passed on amongst those who were alive. Am I correct?
That one, Council, I cannot answer for it. I don't have an answer for it because I don't know. I never heard of something like that in the institution. It is my first time hearing you about that.
But that experience could have been a most devastating one. When one patient who is alive is watching another one passing on in front of him, there's no professional attending to that patient. Would you agree with me there?
I agree with you, but in our institution, I never heard of something like that happened in the institution.
My instructions are that you were so restrictive of the family members who wanted to accompany this Sizwe when he was moved from Way Valley to Kalene. You didn't even want, you were so restrictive to the family members that not to accompany him.
Counsel, is it the information that you have given by the family?
That is my instructions, yes.
That one, Counsel, I disagree with you and the family. Because one of our challenges with our mental health care users, most family, they dump them in the facilities. No, sorry, can I talk?
No,
Most of them, they're being dumped in the
Just
institution.
all of us who are here, let's listen to the witness, please. There's no heckling here. Let's listen quietly, please.
For me to restrict the family, I think I'll be not doing justice to the patient. We do have an experience, and it is a challenge for us. If families are coming to visit their loved ones, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. Because previously, with our users, the previous ones, not the life Esidimeni ones, I can say 30% of the families are visiting the users,
let's
but
remember-
70 not.
Let's remember what the question is. Did you refuse Caesar's family to accompany him when he was transferred? That's all that the question is.
No,
The
Judge.
answer should be yes or no.
No, Judge. As well as I can remember, well, the family followed
And
us
when
to
details
Kalinen.
are required, they'll be invited.
When,
Okay? I
just
said, when details are required, council is supposed to invite you to give the reasons of the details. The answer is, did you restrict? In fact, the first question would have been, were you present when Caesar was transferred?
Yes, I was present,
You were
Judge.
present. The
Yes.
second question is, did you or your fellow officials refuse his family to accompany you when you transferred him from Esidimeni to Kalinen? What's the answer to that?
No, Judge.
Okay, we're done. Council, next question.
Thank you, Chief Justice. You've testified that Anchor is within Kalinen, in the very same premises.
Yes, Counsel.
So if one of the family members has not been alerted that next door is a different NGOs, it would be fair enough to assume that, for him or her to assume that it is at Kalinen.
I agree with you, Judge, Counsel.
Right, almost done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to Advocate Groenewald.
Thank you very much, Justice Ms. Ndlovu. I've just a few questions for you. I'd just like to get some clarity on the time frames. When did you inform the families that that patients were going to be moved from CCRC to Siabadinga?
Our very first meeting with the families to inform them about the removal of the patients to Siabadinga, it was on the 13th of February 2016. I was instructed by the CEO, Matsidi Sonyatlo,
You've already answered the question.
to call in the
You moved them on
meeting.
the 30th of February 2016. Let's leave it there, Mrs. Ndlovu. If
Sir.
council wants more, we want more, we'll ask the next question. Okay,
Okay, Judge.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Justice. There was a meeting in May where you showed the family members the new location or the wards to which the patients would be transferred. Is that correct?
Yes, that was the 14th of May 2016.
14th of May, 2016.
Yes,
You were
Counsel.
present. You were present on that day, or not?
During the day of the meeting?
Yes.
Yes, I was present. Yes, I was present.
And the purpose of that meeting with the families was to show them the new facilities, that everything was in order, and that their loved ones would be looked after. Is that correct?
Yes, Council.
And we know now that that did not happen. You agree, ma'am? This, ma'am,
Council?
yeah. Sorry, you can answer.
No, I'm trying to think loud about your question, Council.
Ma'am, if we have heard evidence here, and family members will come and testify that they lost loved ones.
I agree with you, Council.
So, ma'am, if you say that they were taken care of, then you are saying that they died of something else. They didn't die of not receiving proper treatment.
Council, are you referring to the deaths that happened in CCRC or Siabadinga?
We'll get to that, ma'am. If you want me to go directly to that, then perhaps we should sort that out firstly. When was Siabadinga closed?
It was somewhere in June. Somewhere in June, if I'm not mistaken, Council.
It was somewhere in June.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
At the year, please.
2016, Judge.
you.
Sorry.
2016.
Yes.
Ma'am, if I can just refer you to document ELAH9.
Mine
This
is
is your
not,
report.
It's not named that way.
Yes. It's your report. I just need to clarify there.
But it's not named Kadi ELE.
At the right top corner, just write that yourself.
If Council can give me the page, then I'll get to the page.
100%, ma'am. Now, you say, ma'am, that Siabadinga was closed in June of 2016. Now, at pages 20, there you cite Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Center death stats, 2016 to April 2017. Now, at the bottom is one of the family members we represent, Khotsum Pofu. It's there confirmed that he died the 3rd of August 2016. And you have a note there, admitted in CCRC, then discharged to Siabadinga in satisfactory condition and readmitted back to CCRC in an extremely emaciated condition, finally died in Mamelodi Hospital as a referral from CCRC. Now, if you turn that page again, you get to page 22. At the bottom there, you have the Siabadinga NGO. So the people that died at Siabadinga.
Yes, Council.
Bottom there is again Taba Monyane, died the 23rd of August.
2016.
Yes, 2016. You say they discharged from CCRC to the NGO in a satisfactory condition and died at Siabadinga. Again there, on that exact same column, just the last name there is Jaco Stolz. Also say there that he died the 14th of October 2016. Your comments there are discharged from CCRC to NGO in a satisfactory condition and died at Siabadinga. Now, ma'am, the families we represent, they need clarity on this issue because according to them, Siabadinga was closed, indeed so, and according to them, it was around about the 12th of, end of June to 12th of July. They were finally moved out. So, and the next time they visited CCRC, the individuals, their family members were at CCRC. So can you just explain to us, when was this patient transferred back to CCRC?
Khotso Mpofu died in August with the date of taking over of Siabadinga patients to CCRC. I don't have an exact date, but as it is indicated here that he died in CCRC, that's when the patients were falling under CCRC.
And the other two patients?
Yagustons. According to the report of Thabo Munyane was discharged from CCRC to NGO in a satisfactory condition and died at Siabadinga. We've indicated this information because during the time when the family removed the patient from Siabadinga, I think it was to hospital, they've taken the patient not in CCRC care. It was under Siabadinga. That is why this patient is falling under states of Siabadinga. Then with Yagustol's died in the care of CCRC. Because CCRC took over in October, but when, I don't know. I don't have a specific date.
But the note on page 23 on Mr. Yagustol's right-hand column reads, discharged from CRC to the NGO in a satisfactory condition and died at Siabadinga. Does that tie in with what you've just said?
If we've written like this, it seems as if it indicates that CCRC took over after Yagu has died. Before.
I don't know what to say, ma'am. The note is self-explanatory. It says discharged from CRC to the NGO in a satisfactory condition and died at Siabadinga.
NGO.
Yes. So
Judge,
just tell us.
Judge, with Yagustol's, what I'm saying is that just because I don't have an exact date of when did CCRC took over the patients from Siabadinga, I don't have the exact date. Remember I said we were told verbally to take over the patients from Siabadinga and Enka.
Counsel, you'll have to pursue that and go on.
Yeah, thank you very much,
I don't
Justice.
understand that, but please proceed.
You see, ma'am, did you ever inform the families, did you phone the families and tell them that Siabadinga is now closed, we're going to transfer the patients back to CCRC?
From my office, that initiation was never taken because we were not having, the argument was that there was nothing written to us. to indicate that this is a secular. Siabadinga has closed down or Enka has closed down. We're now taking over the patients that were at the NGOs. What we were instructed to do is to fill in the Mental Health Act forms to readmit the patients in the institution, of which some of the patients, we did readmitted them in the institution due to the instruction that was given.
But, you know, when I look at the dates and the numbers, from around May to September, October, many, many patients died. They died within 3 to 4 months of their transfer from Life Esidimeni. From your experience, what do you say? How do you explain that? Aside from whether they were formerly at Siabadinga or Life Esidimeni, many of these patients who were transferred died in large numbers within a few months of their transfer. When I was working,
The causes of the death, Judge,
I've just asked the witness in her home language, how did all this happen? What does she say?
the
happened?
causes of the death, Judge, I cannot tell, but what I can indicate previously is that I can indicate that in the institution, in our stats, we used to have 2 or 3 deaths a year. This one, I think, due to the movement of large numbers of patients, maybe it can be the cause of their deaths. Because we sat down and reflected back to our stats that how many deaths did we had previously. 2014 we had 1, 2015 we had 2, only 2, but 2016 it was so terrible.
In your case, CRC, when I look at the report, it was tens and tens and tens of patients who died in a compressed period of months. That's really my question. What had gone so wrong? From 2 patients in a year, we can do the numbers now, we've got them, tens and tens of people died. And you worked there, and you're an experienced professional at the place. Where do you put your finger on it? What killed these people?
It was
I'm not
also,
asking you as a doctor, as a professional who worked there, and who observed and must have a view of what caused such massive death.
it was also our concern. That is why we reflected back to check if we had this number of deaths previously, why now do we have this large number? We were worried, we were also worried about that, but according to my perception, I think maybe it
That
was
the
the
question.
move.
You went there first, that's the question. My question is to you, you see many, many people dying, and you are a professional, and they die within a compressed period. The time between May and around October, November, many people lost their lives who were formerly at Life Esidimeni and who were under your care or passed on to the NGO near you. What do you say caused all that in your, let's even say, layman observation?
That one,
Layperson, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say layman. In your layperson observation, what is it? What was it?
that one, Judge, I won't be able to tell. That is why I'm saying, according to my perception, I think that maybe it was because of the moving of many patients at the same time. It is according to my perception.
You mean people died only because they were moved in large numbers?
That is my perception, Judge.
Were they properly fed?
With the feeding, Judge, that one, I can testify, I can confirm that we never experienced any problems. Because if there's any,
Were they properly medicated? The answer is yes. In your view, they were properly fed, right?
yes,
That's the answer.
Judge.
And then were they properly medicated as prescribed?
Those who had medication and prescription, they were given medication properly according to the way it was stipulated in the prescriptions.
And did they have all the facilities to bathe, and all other facilities they need to live well?
Pardon, Judge?
Did they have all the facilities they needed to keep themselves clean?
Yes,
and
Judge.
healthy? Yes.
Yes, Judge.
The question pops up again. How did they die? What killed them? Do you understand? But there's something quite centrally important here. And you tell us the numbers. We can see from your report the numbers were large.
Yes.
I don't want to
they
spend
were
time on
indeed
detail. I
large.
want to know why, how do you think they died? They were well fed, they had facilities and ablution to look after themselves. They had gardens, according to you, to walk around. They had play fields, according to your evidence. And they die. When ordinarily, only 2 people in a year would die in your facility. What is your explanation?
My explanation on this, Judge, is not maybe only to defend myself or the organization that I'm working at. Most of the patients that died were the patients that were returned back to the institution from the NGOs.
And those that died at Siabadinga, they were your neighbors. They were your next door neighbors. How do you think they died? Or why did they die? Even as a matter of hindsight, I want to understand the puzzle.
This one, Judge, I don't know how to answer it. I don't know, Judge.
Counsel.
Thank you, Justice. Ma'am, I would like to just then take you to that schedule, document ELAH 11. You said that you also drew up this document.
Yes, I
And
was
you-
part of the team.
Okay, you were part of the team.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure, this page is not
There's
dated.
pages down there.
This one is, it's saying list of discharge MHCUs from CCRC to Siabadinga, and it's part 7. Do you have the document? It's the list of the 73 individuals that you transferred.
Yes, Counsel.
You have that. Ma'am, just to have a look there. Surname, name, age, file number, previous ward, discharge date. Am I correct to say that this discharge date is the date that these patients were transferred to Siabadinga?
Yes, Counsel.
Correct. Destination, takeover date, 8th of July 2016. So is that in fact the date that the CCRC took over these patients again?
With Siabadinga,
Yes.
it is the date, but this date was just verbalized to us.
Okay.
There was nothing written in black and white.
You see, ma'am, so that is just what I want clarity on. So, according to you, there was no clear instruction that, listen here, Siabadinga is now out. I want all the staff of CCRC to go and get the patients from from Siabadinga, look after them, treat them, and so on. What I put to you, ma'am, is simple this. It seems to me, there was a time where the Siabadinga patients were left to fend for themselves, and there was no one that looked after them. What's your response to that?
That one, Council, that information, I don't know it.
But you agree with me, from the documentation, that seems highly likely.
I won't say yes, because I was never told, I never heard about the information that you are telling me now.
Ma'am, if we can then...
No,
Go
but
ahead,
before we
sorry.
walk away, you told us when Siabadinga was closed in June 2016. What happened? What does closed mean there? What happened to their patients?
Siabadinga was housed in the 2 wards of Kalinen Care and Rehabilitation, and also Enka was housed in the same block of Siabadinga.
Yeah, but get to my question. What happened to the patients?
Staff of CCRC went and work and give care and treatment to the patient in patients were not removed from the wards. The services continued in the same wards.
Did you readmit them after having discharged them?
Some of the patients were readmitted.
And those not readmitted, what happened to them?
We have admitted them now.
No, then. You see, council was putting to you something quite important. He said, who looked after those patients after Siabadinga was closed? Or were they left to fend for themselves?
No, CCRC staff were assisting the people who were still in the premises as Siabadinga caregivers.
Even though you had no formal process of readmitting them?
Yes, Council. Yes, Judge.
Council suggests to you that then, at that time, in effect, those patients were left to themselves, and that must have endangered them because they died in very large numbers.
That is why I said I don't know the information that she is telling me, because CCRC staff, the nurses, the professional nurses, were assisting the people. There were some other caregivers that were working with the CCRC staff before they can leave the premises.
But even so that didn't help. They still died. Is that it? That's the point that council was putting to you. We were not there. We're trying to piece it up. We're trying to understand what happened. Who was the head of Siabadinga? Who was the CEO or the executive director or the head of it?
Diana Noile.
Diana who?
Noile.
How do you write Noile?
Noyo. Diana Noyle.
Where is she now?
I don't know.
Do we know where she is, council?
Judge.
Yes, Justice, we have made contact with two representatives from Siabadinga. One responded, in fact, both of them responded that they are willing to come. But the other one, I think there was some miscommunication between them and us, as well as Herta Spears. One indicated, that is Diane, indicated that she will be coming as a witness for the three families, that is on behalf of Herta Spears. But this morning we found out that they are no longer calling them. Then we'll proceed with, that is the founder of the NGO.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, Mr. Ndlovu, you heard me before say these were your neighbors. These deaths happened literally under your noses. It was all there at CRC and all your immediate neighbors. Why don't you know how or under what circumstances these people who were at Siabadinga died? Why is it that you don't know?
Judge, what I can indicate to you is that during the weekly meetings in the institution as the MDT, we were told by the CEO that immediately after discharging the patient, there's a palisade that divides Cullinan and Siabadinga. Then if there's nothing that we want from Siabadinga, we mustn't go there. But if there is something, we should go via Mr. Masenya, is one of our nursing staff, so that Mr. Masenya can know what is somebody looking at Siabadinga. So there was this, there was a palisade, and even verbal information was given to us not to intervene too much because the patients have been discharged. But with me, I kept on communicating with them, with the IDs, even with the SASA cards, because I gave them support to go to SASA to apply for the grant for the patients.
Counsel.
Thank you very much, Justice. Ma'am, sorry, I'm again going to have to take you back to document ELAH9. That's your report, page 4, Life Esidimeni project, discharge and admission process. Here you explain to us that there was an agreement between Marathon and CCRC LA project teams that they would discharge some functions from CCRC patients to the NGO to create space for patients from LE. The discharged patients were patients that were stable and they were assessed to require further treatment in less restrictive environment. So if I understand you correctly here, on page 4, what you're saying, these individuals, when they went to Siabadinga, they were stable. They were assessed. And you confirm that they were assessed by a medical doctor, psychiatric nurse from CCRC. Is that correct? Did that happen?
Psychiatric nurse.
Yeah, doctor, and that's what, if I read correctly there.
The patients before they can go to Siabadinga, they were assessed by the doctor.
But you agree with me? They, according to you, they were in a stable condition.
Yes, I agree with you.
And 3 months later, perhaps for some less, a huge number of these individuals died. Now, according to me, or what I want to show to you is, you go there below, the following were taken along with the mental health care users on discharge. The following were taken along. Discharge report from the medical doctor, discharge summary from the nurses, copy of medication prescription chart, copy of MHCA Form 3, that's the discharge form, and then 1 month supply of prescribed medication. Is that correct?
It's correct, Council.
All right. So we know from annexure or document ELAH 11 that those individuals were discharged to Siabadinga from May 2016 to June 2016. Starting from May 2016. You agree?
I agree with you,
All right.
Council.
You can confirm that Siabadinga never received money, or can't you testify to that? They were never paid by the Department of Health. If you don't know, ma'am, you can just say you don't know
That information I don't know.
that information. Well, ma'am, we're going to argue that they never received any money from the department. Hence,
But did they look like they were well-resourced? Did they have linen? Did they have toilet paper? Did they have beds? Did they have the things which are necessary to look after patients the way you would have looked after them?
With regarding to their budget, Judge,
No, ma, what you saw, you were there working there, and you helped them. When you looked around, did it look like a well-resourced mental health care facility or not?
when we went to Siabadinga to do our assessment, we found that there is a grocery, a huge grocery kept in a room. And in the refrigerator, there were vegetables and meat. That one I can confirm that.
So what is your answer? You think it was a well-resourced, that was the question. If you listen to the question and just try and tackle it, do you think they were a well-resourced mental health care facility?
Yes, Council. Yes, Judge.
You had the questions, Legal Aid South Africa, they insinuated that there was not even toilet paper, no food, patients were hungry, there was no proper linen. You had those questions. They were going there.
That,
So I'm just wrapping it up and to understand whether it was a good facility or one that was poorly serviced.
according to the question of Council, it was regarding Kalinen Care and Rehabilitation Center.
Okay, I think you're right, yeah. Go on, Council.
thank you very much. Perhaps you don't know whether or not they received any payment. So you don't know if Siabadinga received any payment.
I
So you
don't
cannot,
know.
you don't know.
I don't know, Council.
Okay, so you cannot tell us that after that 1 month, they had 1 month's worth of medicine for the patients. So you cannot confirm here today that after that 1 month, those patients still had medicine. You can't confirm that.
With the 1 month supply that I have given to Siabadinga, the prescription were written for Diana to collect medication of the patients. So after 1 month, we assumed that she should go and collect medication of the patients at the clinic.
So she could go and collect
Medication, yes.
at the clinic.
At
Do you
the
know
clinic.
whether or not she did?
I'm not sure about that one, Council.
Now, Ma'am, it's my instructions that Siabadinga survived due to the goodwill of the people. That Siabadinga at that point in time received a lot of support from the community. That's where they got their food. That's where they got, I think they went so far, some of the people said that they gave them fridges and stuff like that. You know, so there was clearly a need from Siabadinga. And that is what the people will also come and testify. That contradicts, you agree that that contradicts a bit of what you're saying, telling us now?
What was happening in Siabadinga, I don't know about the information that you are telling me, if whether they went to request some donation outside or not. I don't have any information about that.
Okay. Now, ma'am, so, but if you don't know how was things like that at Siabadinga, it's fine. Then let's move to CCRC.
When was Anchor Life closed? We know when Siabadinga was shut down. When was Anchor Life shut down?
With Anchor, Judge, you've asked that previously. I said, I don't know, but we were only informed in October to take over.
2016.
Yes, Judge.
And where were the patients?
The patients were still in the ward.
And again, this was on your premises.
Yes, Counsel. Yes,
Who
Judge.
fed them? Who looked after them? Who met their needs?
Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Center staff had to go and assist.
Counsel?
Thank you very much, Justice. So just to confirm, it's at one point in time then, ma'am, CCRC had to look now and to care for the Life Esidimeni patients that came over, the Siabadinga patients, as well as the Anchor patients.
Yes, Counsel.
Ma'am, were you a part of, or were you aware of a meeting on the 5th of July? It was chaired by Dr. Mfinyane. Were you part of that meeting at CCRC?
July 2016.
To refresh your memory, you can go to volume 8, pages 2771.
Page 27.
71, 2771. Are you there, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there was a number of meetings held on that day. You will note that at 2771, it's minutes of a meetings with the Wes-Koppies Hospital staff that were working at Cullinan. 2773, there was minutes of the meeting between the delegation and Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Center organized labor for the introduction of the acting CEO. So they had a meeting with the Wes-Koppies staff, the organized labor, and then there was also a meeting, clinical staff for the introduction of the acting CEO. So were you part of any of these meetings? 2778?
2778.
There was Rehabilitation Center administration and support staff for the introduction. Are you administration and support staff?
I I was not part of these meetings.
part of the executive committee?
No.
Okay, so you cannot, do you recall any meeting on the 5th of July 2016?
I don't, the only meeting that I can recall, and I was not part of the meeting, but it was after lunch, we were told that there's a meeting at the hall. I didn't go to the meeting because I was busy in the office, but the information that I got from the people who were in the meeting, they said Mrs. Nyadlo has been suspended and we will be having a new acting CEO, Mrs. Malaza. I was not part of the meeting, I just got the information.
No, then I don't want to bother you further with that. What I would like to put to you, ma'am, is this is minutes of a meeting, 2771, page 2771. Now this is a meeting in which it is confirmed, second sentence, the department indicated that they recognize that there are no resources to work on at the allocated units. They were also thanked for raising a concern to work with no proper paperwork. Your concerns cannot be ignored. Now that was the concerns raised by the West Koppies Hospital staff. You will note there further concerns of the West Koppies staff. It included the following: patient's identification, medicine cups were requested, emergency medicine, laundry, infection control, glucose test machine not available in the units, gloves are not available. 1 or 2 clerks were requested. The letter from the legal department that stated that the staff will not be held accountable for any irregularities as they were asked to come and assist in a unit that is not complying with the basic standard of service. Now, ma'am, I put it to you that this is quite a different picture of CCRC that you represented to the people here today. Would you agree with me?
Council, I was not aware of this information. I don't know. I was never told if this meeting has taken place. I was not part of this. And if this had happened, it was not in CCRC. It was in former anchor and Siabadinga. That is why I don't know this information. I totally don't know this information.
Ma'am, the question was simply that this information contradicts what you said.
I understand.
So,
I understand, Council, what you are saying. I understand what you are saying, but with this information, I don't know about this information. I was never told about this information. Some of the meetings is not. I'm not in an ex-committee. Some of the meetings we don't know what is happening.
But Sisibo, look, don't miss the crux of the question. The question is, people who's more senior to you, who are in the executive in charge, hold a meeting precisely where you are in July of 2016, and they brought in staff from West Koppies to come and help you. And look what's recorded there of the things that are not working well or that are not available. And the department says they recognize this, that there are no resources. In other words, that the complaints are well-founded. And the complaints are inconsistent with the picture that you were painting. So council says, why is it so? They say it was this bad at Kalinen. You say it was all fine.
Judge, I'm not trying to justify myself. We had staff in Kalinen. I never knew that it was Vescopi staff. We had people moving up and down in Kalinen. I never knew if there's any meetings in Kalinen about this. That is why the information that is here, the laundry, the infection, the flu, I don't know about this, Judge. I don't know. Maybe my senior that is attending the EXCO meetings, he can be the one who can know about this. I was never given this information as I was based in Kalinen Care and Rehabilitation Center.
You see, you were given an opportunity to explain where there were problems around these matters. Emergency medicines, you ask questions about laundry, you ask questions about certainly most of these things, and whether Siabadinga operated properly. You had not seen any of these things. Now it's put to you, look at this. It's recorded in minutes that the situation was very dire. And the narrow question is, what is your response? There's a clear gap between what you saw and what others saw.
Yes, it is true. It is true. That is why
what is true?
This information that council is saying, it is true because it is something that has been written. It is the minutes that people have attended. I was not part of this. I'm not declining this information. What I'm saying is that I was never part of this. I was never part of this, but with the staff in Kalinen, there was new staff in Kalinen.
Look at page 2781. Council had referred you to it already. Can you see that? Look at the second line. Start the second sentence of the first line. Can you read that out?
The department explained that it is concerned about the patient issues.
No, the second line of the first paragraph.
Second line.
The second sentence of the first paragraph. There are problems starting there.
Am I at the right page?
Yes, page 2781. You are.
2781. There are problems with the NGO called Siabadinga. Yes, Judge?
And go on. The Siabadinga NGO does not meet the criteria for the department to give the patients. The patients are department's patients, and the department needs to take care of them. The investigation will be conducted by the department. The CO is suspended in order to allow the investigation to carry on. Mrs. Malaza was announced as acting. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see, Judge.
Why were you not aware of these dire circumstances?
In Siabadinga.
Yes.
With the deaths, I was aware with the deaths of Siabadinga.
No, the conditions, the terrible conditions.
With the conditions, Judge, I was not aware with the condition. I was not aware. Even with the meeting that was held, I was not even part of the meeting.
Okay, Council, will you proceed?
Thank you very much, Justice. Ma'am, I want to take you also just to page 2776. Now, here's a meeting with the clinical staff.
2776.
Yes. I would just highlight two sentences there. Again, this is recorded now. Now, this is minutes of the meeting between the clinical staff and CCRC. In the first paragraph, last sentence, it was also said to the staff that when the patients are in their area of care and are suffering, the staff will be requested to assist. Now, this document is in respect of the NGOs. This document says that if these patients of the NGOs are in your area and they are suffering, you should assist. You'll agree with me, the word suffering indicates that there is a problem. You don't need to, I don't want to push you for an explanation. I just like to get your comment, yes or no.
I agree
Yes.
with you, Council.
Now, ma'am, then I want to show you the dilemma now faced by the staff at CCRC. Questions and answers. The clinical staff raised the question of ethical dilemma. For example, if one has an urgent matter to attend to and the NGOs has an emergency as well, and both need assistance, what should happen? Now, ma'am, if that is not a clear indication that there was utter chaos, to say the least, then I don't know what would be. You agree with me, this confirms CCRC was understaffed at that point in time. The patients was not cared for as they should have been cared for.
Council, I'm a little bit going to extend or expand my answer regarding the department where I'm working. Yes, we are indeed understaffed. I'm the only social worker there, and I'm being assisted by a social auxiliary worker. But with other departments, I cannot tell. I know about the department that I'm working at that we are understaffed. Referring to the patients that we are dealing, the number of the patients that we are dealing with right now, we are indeed understaffed.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that. Now, all three our witnesses will come and testify that basically from May of 2016, they were prohibited from entering the wards. They were prohibited from seeing where their loved ones were sleeping, how it was looking there, was everything fine. They had to report, and then they had to wait in a reception area, and then they would bring the patient or the loved one to them. What's your response to that?
I acknowledge that it is true.
And would you agree with me, ma'am, that that the reason for that was that the department was busy with the crisis management? They didn't want the people to take pictures. They didn't want the people to know what was exactly going on there within CCRC.
The truth of the matter is that the information was communicated to us by our acting CEO. in one of our meeting in the morning that parents are not allowed to go in the ward because there are some parents who are taking pictures of the patients.
The question is, the department was busy with crisis management.
That one, Judge, I cannot really confirm it. We were told that it is because there are some families who are taking pictures of the patients and the pictures are being posted in the social medias and the newspapers. That was the information I got.
Yes, and that's exactly crisis control. We don't want the public to see what's happening inside our premises. But that instruction was indeed given.
Yes.
Yes. Now, ma'am, Mr. Yaku Stoll's sister will come and testify that she needed to take him to a hospital on the 18th of September, or needed to take him to the doctor on the 18th of September, where he was dehydrated. He had a number of bruises. The doctor said that, if he wasn't better within 3 days' time, the nurses should admit him to hospital. Mrs. Miriam Manyane, she will come and testify that her son, she was informed that he was he was sick, and she came to see him there at CCRC. They brought him on a bed. He wasn't able to walk anymore. He had a burn wound, amongst other, on his leg, on his upper leg, and a bruise on his left shoulder. David Mpofu's aunt will come and testify, or his grandmother, that his lips, when they saw him in the hospital when he was deceased at the morgue, his lips was unnaturally swollen. He had bruises on his chest, all over his chest. Now, ma'am, I put it to you that that evidence clearly indicates that these people, these patients, were not properly cared for. What's your answer, ma'am?
That one, Council, I cannot answer or account for it because the patients are cared for by the professional nurses. Maybe the nurses that were on duty that day will be the one who can give a clear picture or a better explanation, better than me.
That is indeed perhaps so, ma'am, but just once, if I... Thank you very much, Justice. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can
Council,
I add,
Oh.
Council?
Yes.
you have one more advocate to ask you questions, and we're going to release you after re-examination. So I'm going to call the State Council. It's 4:30. So it's a function of how long you think your examination is going to be, Council. If it's on the short side, we obviously are going to continue now.
Thank you, Justice.
If we start going, and then we're probably going to have to leave it over to tomorrow.
Justice, we don't intend to be long with the witness. It will all depend upon the answers. If the answers are more detailed, it might take a bit of time. Perhaps it might be preferable that we resume tomorrow morning. We do not intend to really have a lot of questions, but
I think you should go on, counsel. It's 4:30. We have a leeway between 4:30 and 5 o'clock on your pre-trial minute, pre-hearing minute. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I think you should go ahead.
thank you, Justice.
And we might even get the re-examination in today still, so we can start with the fresh witness tomorrow.
Thank you, Justice.
Proceed.
Judge, there was something that I wanted to add. The
Yes,
information.
at the end, I'll give you the permission to add, unless
Okay.
you feel it's the right time is now. Do you want to add it now or
Yes,
at the
I
end?
think it's the right time so that
Okay, very well. You go.
council can get information about this because it was never asked.
Yes.
Disability grants of 16 patients were applied during the departure of the patients to Siabadinga, and the cards were given to Mrs. Noile. And they were active for her to get cash. That's all.
But were the grants to Ms. Noyila or to the patients?
It was the disability grants of the patients. We applied them and we gave Mrs. Noile the card so that she can activate the money, she can access the money from the ATM.
Justice, if I may,
Yes, you may, you may.
do you know whether or not those cards were returned?
The cards were not returned to us. The only things that we received from her, it was the ID books. But as instructed again, I went to Sasa Brongorspreid to go and cancel the grants on the 8th of September 2016. So
Okay.
the cards are still with Diana, but the grant have been terminated now since September last year.
Thank you very much for that, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will proceed, counsel, for the state.
Thank you, Justice. Ms. Ndlovu, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Council.
Can you just give us an indication of when did you qualify as a social worker?
I qualified as a social worker 2012.
When were you employed by Kalinen Care Rehabilitation Center?
I was employed from the 1st of December 2013.
And then, like, you have just given evidence about the conditions of the facility or the institution. Just to get a perspective, can you just give an indication how many days were you working at the center per week?
I was working Monday to Friday, but it was not normal hours.
And your testimony was that the conditions were favorable to the users who were at the facility. That's the evidence that like we got from you. Is that how I understood it?
Yes, for the ones that were in CCRC.
Yes, I'm referring specifically to Cullinan Care Rehabilitation Center, unless I state otherwise.
Okay, thank you, Council.
And your testimony, amongst other things that you mentioned, was that, to your recollection, in your attendance at the facility from Monday to Friday, you were able to observe at least linen being changed at least 3 times a day.
Yes, Council.
And on your observation, the users were fed, they were given meals at regular intervals.
Yes, Council.
Just help us, because from what you have just testified is that indeed the facility was of assistance to its users. You have made mention of the fact that, during your testimony, that there's been unfortunate incidences where you have said that some of the family members were dumping their loved ones at the institution. Do you recall that evidence?
Yes, I recall the evidence, but I said we had a challenge previously with our previous patients, not with the life Esidimeni, but with the life Esidimeni, yes, there are some who doesn't have families as we speak right now.
Thank you. Earlier on, when you were questioned by the evidence leaders, Advocate Ngujana, you have made mention that there has been an incident where one of the users at the institution was never visited for a period of 10 years. Do you recall that?
Yes, Council.
And when you spoke of the challenges relating to visitation of these mental health care users, can you just expand or elaborate why you testified that there's been challenges in that regard, that family members who were supposed to be of concern about the situation of their loved ones, but they were not playing their part with regard to visitation? Can you just expand like what your experience has been at the facility?
With the experience of the families who doesn't visit, I think maybe the problem might be the some patients that we've received from Life Esidimeni were not having contact details nor the physical addresses of the family where we can locate them. So I think it's one of the challenges that we are faced now, because we don't know where to go and look for these families. That is our most challenge.
You have just given an estimation of your statistic that about 30% of the users are being visited, vis-a-vis 70% of the other users who are not being visited. What is your role as a social worker with regard to the arrangements that family members should make contact with those housed in your facility?
You've got at least 2 questions. I think let's get the witness to confirm the split, and then the second part of the question about what ought to be done to remedy that.
Thank you, Justice. Ms. Ndlovu, can you just explain the split of visitation that has been taking place at the institution? in relation to the percentages that you have made reference to. 30% versus 70%.
Yes, I'm still justifying it by saying 70% of the patients that are admitted in Kalinen, they're not being visited. Some families are there, but they don't come. But with those that are there, who doesn't come, we call them and request them to come and take the patients at least for 2 days, 3 days, or 1 day, or come and spend some time with them. We facilitate the visitation. We facilitate the visitation from the families.
Then can you give an indication as to how did you manage to come to this split? Is there any register which has been kept in order to have record of who is being visited and who is not being visited?
Yes, Council, we do have an attendance register of the families in our sick bay building where the families are visiting their loved ones. The families are requested to write their names, their contact details, and the names of the user that are being visited at that time. So with the families that are coming regularly, we do have their information, their contact details. It's not a challenge for us.
Let's first deal with those who will make contact and make visits to their loved ones. Is there any way in which you keep a register of the frequency of the visits in respect of each of the users?
Yes, yes. We monitor the register on a weekly basis. Like during the weekends, if the families come during the weekends I'm not working. Every Monday, I go to sick bay to take the attendance register, make a copy, and try and check who was there during the weekend, so that I can also update my file. If maybe there was a new parent who came to visit, so that we can have the contact details in our file for our future references.
From those that you are able to identify as, that you are able to identify and confirm that like they do indeed visit their families, in your experience, what would you consider as reasonable visits to the users at the facility? Per month or quarterly or so?
With those who are coming, like I checked last week, it seems as if it's not like, it doesn't differ too much. The register doesn't differ too much from
No,
the...
Mrs. Ndlovu, you asked for frequency. What would you say would be good visitation in a month or a quarter? 2 times a month, once a quarter? That's the question.
Once a month, we will like recommend that as a good visitation. Then twice a month, it will be a bonus for us.
Okay, there's the answer. Council, proceed.
Can you just help us and understand that to the extent that the users are being taken care of at the facility, is there any further role that the families or relatives are expected to play in the well-being of these patients?
Yes, Council, because every year during December, we have Christmas parties, We have family days. We invite families to come and spend time with their beloved ones in the institution.
Do you think a visit once a month is sufficient for the family to make contact with their loved one?
It is not sufficient, but due to the fact that the families will be coming from far, that is why I'm saying if the family can come twice a month, for us, we appreciate that.
So your position is that once a month is not sufficient?
It's not sufficient, Council.
With regard to the register that you keep, are you able to get an indication of those who did not pay their visits to the users?
Yes, we are, Council.
Then what steps do you take? What steps do you take upon identifying that like some of the users are not being visited?
With some families, if they don't come to visit the patients, they do call and check over the phone the well-being of their loved ones. Then we go to the ward and give them information over the phone again.
Do you take any steps against those that do not visit the users?
Those who are not visiting at all.
Indeed.
Yes, the steps that we are taking within the institution is to try and trace with the ID books through Home Affairs if the families, to check the addresses of the families, if the families are the ones who applied IDs for the patients, then Home Affairs is really assisting us regarding that. But for the patients that IDs were applied in Life Esidimeni, it is a challenge for us because we can't trace any family.
From the register that you have made reference to, are we in a position to get access to that register in order to verify the number of visits which you have just made reference to?
You are more than welcome to get our attendance register, Council.
So it is available?
Yes, it is available.
Having been at the facility for quite some time, will there be any instances when a family member will visit the facility without completing the register?
That one, Council, if maybe the family didn't go to the visiting room, then we are more likely not going to have the contact details of the family in the book. Because some, they want to do the outdoor visitation. So the book is placed in the visitation room, but if the nursing staff that is there can assist us in reminding the family to fill in the register, then we will win according to the cooperation from our nursing staff.
What is the answer to the question that I've posed to you?
The answer is that if families cannot visit in the room, then we are more likely not going to have the contact details of the family on our register.
Is it likely or unlikely that a member of the family will present himself or herself at the institution without reporting to the appropriate place designated for visitation?
It is unlikely, Council.
You have just made reference to the ethical code which is applicable in your profession as a social worker.
Yes, Council.
And you have given an explanation that to some extent it prohibits you from entering into the terrain of other institutions. With reference to Siabadinga, you have repeatedly testified that you were employed by Cullinan Care Rehabilitation Center and not Siabadinga.
Yes, Council.
Is there any way in which you would have known of the activities or occurrences taking place within Siabadinga or Anchor?
Yes, Council. But with Siabadinga, there was a social worker appointed lately last year. We used to communicate. If I don't go from their premises, then we used to communicate telephonically.
Thank you. Let's then deal with the other group, the 70%. The 70% insofar as it relates to those users who will not be visited by their relatives. What steps from your side what steps were taken in relation to that lack of visitation?
We've traced their addresses through the files. Then some of the families, when we go there, they've relocated to somewhere. Then that's our challenge, because with the initial addresses that we have, most of the time, we are more likely to find that families have relocated. Especially, a challenge is with our white race.
What is that? I don't follow that.
The white patients that are in the institution, most of the families of the users have relocated. When we go to the addresses that was given initially, then we found that the people have been relocated long time ago.
Has there been any instances when family members will update their contact details or change of address to the center?
Yes, Council. Yes, Council. Some they do call and let us know that they've moved from where we know that they've been staying, then to the new addresses.
And then in relation to your estimation on percentage, how many would give that update, and which percentage will relate to those who do not give an update?
Those who can give update, I can say 10%, because we don't get cooperation from families.
You have just testified about the availability of the register insofar as it relates to demonstrate the visitations by family members. Can you just give us an indication if there's any record of the number by name of those users who have not been visited, and also give and also in relation to the period over which they have not been visited? Do we have that register at the center? Or record? Is there any record which details the name of the users who are not visited?
I can say record, we do it this way. With the contact details that was given, we call. If we don't find the families, we write the report and put it in the file. That's how I can say we are doing our record keeping about.
Are you able to compile a schedule which will give the number by names of those patients who have not been visited at the facility?
I can give an estimation, Council, that
Ms. Ndlovu, I'm not asking about an estimation. I'm asking about the keeping of a record. Is there a record, or could such a record be compiled?
yes, if the house needs that record, we can compile it for you, Council.
So as we speak, none exist.
Hence, I've mentioned none exists, yes, but when we call, we keep our record in a form of process notes. So if you want that record, then the records, then it means we're going back to our files and check how many families are not coming, how many families are coming to visit.
I am sure we are agreed that visitation plays a very important role to these users by their family members. Are we agreed on that?
I agree with you, Council.
And it will be equally important that there has to be a record that has to be kept for those who are being visited, so that appropriate measures can be taken, so that arrangements can be made for those who are being visited, that they should actually receive visits.
I agree with you, Council. I will look at that, Council. Thank you for the advice. I will have a register for that, as a register, not a process note in the file, so that we can be able to identify the visitation.
Council, it's the register will be limited to life Esidimeni victims, would it? Are you interested in a historical register or one into the future?
Justice, we would like to get a record which is relevant to the control period.
Yes.
It's critical for these proceedings.
Yes, it is. Let's make it clear to the witness. I agree with you, it's important. But let's make it clear that we're talking about the control period, and we're talking about patients emanating from life Esidimeni.
Ms. Ndlovu, these proceedings relate to the report which was prepared by the Office of the Ombudsman. And the period that is relevant is the period from 15 October 2015 until the 1st of February 2017. So my questions to you in relation to the keeping of the record is in relation to those patients, the life Esidimeni patients who were at the facility. So what I need to find from you is, with the making of those notes in the files of those families who were not visiting their loved ones, will you be able to compile a record that can be made available to these proceedings?
Yes, I will, Council.
Okay. Thank you.
Clearly, Council, only now are you warming up. And it's 5 p.m. So you've got to give me an indication. I don't want to stop you, not at all. I was trying to help the witness away. But if in fact my assessment is right that you're getting warmer and warmer, then we defer it to tomorrow morning.
Indeed, so Justice.
Yeah, very well. Very tlo go thuša mmago re sepela ka pele, but a go etsagala. You will have to come back tomorrow.
No problem, Judge.
I've
I
tried
will come.
to sit up to 5:05, but clearly there are still more questions. And this is a probe into the truth, so you'll have to be back tomorrow.
No problem, Judge. I will avail myself tomorrow.
Avail yourself, wonderful. Is there anything that any counsel would like to say before I adjourn? Any matter pressing to be said now? Otherwise, we're going to adjourn until tomorrow morning at 9:30. What other evidence will you be leading tomorrow, counsel? Would you put your mic on and speak louder, please?
I'm sorry, Justice, I forgot. We have 2 more witnesses that we had lined up for today, but now that they're spheres, they're no longer calling this here, but being representatives, then there will be 3 more coming from that side.
Tomorrow.
That is
And your colleagues know in what order you'll be calling them, they're able to prepare for that.
Yes, we would, yeah.
They're all are aware of it.
Thanks,
Very well.
Justice, if we may take this opportunity to hand up the exhibits numbered from ELA H12 to 22, they have been emailed to our colleagues. We just want to hand this for the arbitrator.
Yes. No, thank you so much. And this would then amend the I see, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll get them bound properly by support staff. This means the time we're going to adjourn till tomorrow morning at 9:30. We adjourn.